Welcome back. Well, last week we told you about some of the issues that local funeral homes have been facing during the pandemic. And this morning we're joined by Funeralocity founder and CEO Ed Michael Reggie to help you prepare if you do need to plan a funeral. Good morning.
Good morning, Callan.
Thanks for joining us today. Could you first off tell us, we were talking during our commercial break about how services can be impacted by COVID-19 protocols. Could you tell us what are some issues that people might face if things like social distancing prevent a funeral from happening?
Well, as we know, every local and state government has different requirements, but certainly social distancing and limits on the number of people are seriously impacting funeral service. One of the big trends has been Zoom funerals, in which people are attending by way of Zoom. I honestly don't know how satisfying that is to a grieving family, but it is something other than nothing at all. But I think a lot of families are really planning on doing some type of celebration of the life of the deceased later. But things are moving online. They're moving contactless as much as possible. And there has been an upsurge in cremations as a result of what's going on, simply because it's easier. People can order a cremation, hold the urn for a later event, possibly to celebrate that person's life.
Okay. And so no matter what a service turns out looking right now due to the pandemic, what are some prices or maybe upsells that people should look out for when they are planning those services?
I guess the thing we all need to recognize is doing any financial transactions when you're in a grief-stricken state is not the best idea. You are really in a position of weakness. Honest funeral directors are going to be asking questions. And we do live in America where when you buy a burger, they ask you if you want fries with it. When you buy a business suit, they want to sell you a pair of shoes. So you bet when you're in a funeral home, even if you're in a grief-stricken state, you will be presented with options. Do you want a better casket? Do you want a pillow in the casket? There'll be so many different questions price is the last thing you're often thinking about. So one of the things we recommend, of course, that's one of the reasons we created Funeralocity.com, is that you simply tap your zip code in and you get the prices of every funeral provider in your area. So it begins, I believe, with a search on the internet, and we're the only site that has the prices of everyone. And I think that that's an important thing. Even the family funeral home you've been using all these years, it will be interesting to see what the prices are. Price isn't everything, but it's something, and especially at this time.
And do you have any advice for people if they're looking into all those prices and services and the funeral homes are just really booked right now? Do you have advice for people who are struggling to plan anything?
Well, if funeral homes are really booked, you're going to need to look beyond your zip code and into other areas. And that's another reason why you might consider getting a direct cremation, where you simply have a funeral home a county over, perform a direct cremation, you get the urn and plan an event later, which is closer to home for you.
Definitely. All right. Well, we are out of time. So thank you so much for all of that advice. That was definitely helpful for some of our viewers. So thank you.
My pleasure to be with you, Callan.